It's time for No Pad Sports Talk. Stay tuned as two brothers bring you the latest from your Michigan teams and beyond in hockey, baseball, football, and more. Let's get started. Here are your hosts, JD and Steve.
Welcome to another edition of No Pad Sports Talk. After a little bit of a hiatus, I am one of your hosts, JD.
I'm Steve, and we are excited to be back. It's been at least I want to say like a month.
Just 2 weeks.
It feels like a month.
Oh,
it really does.
It feels for much longer, but
it feels much longer.
But yeah, we had real life happened. And again, we do this for fun. It's not our job. We don't get paid. So sometimes real life has to take, the priority there and kind of what happened. So, but yeah, so the last 2 weeks has not been a show, but we were excited to be back because a lot has happened.
Yes.
And I think we're going to start off with a little bit of baseball.
Yeah. So several weeks ago or several shows ago, I guess I should say, actually it was our pregame. Or no, it wasn't our pregame. It was after the season had started for the Tigers, and we were making some predictions.
Right.
And you talked about their schedule and what you thought, you was expecting from them. So you wanted to come back and revisit this. So because it was after, I think we talked about it, and they were like 5-0, or they just lost their first one. Right.
Exactly.
So they had a pretty good record going, at the beginning of the season. And then
I was like, hold your horses, right? Like, that's.
Like you always say that they're beating teams they should beat. And then, but now, go ahead.
They started off against the White Sox, right? And everybody knew the White Sox were going to be bad. I don't think anybody knew just how bad they were going to be. And then after that, they played, the Mets. Right. So I think we had a show when they were like 4-0 or 5-0, but whatever it was, those are the only two teams they actually faced. Mets were winless as well coming in to face against the Tigers. And it's like, let's just wait to see what happens. And what I wanted to do is I kind of wanted to review the team after they started playing some better teams. Because, they had the Rays, the Twins, the Guardians, Cardinals, Yankees, Astros, right? Like they had a bunch of really good teams coming up. And now they're, 40 plus games into the season here. So, a little bit more than 25% in. They played against some good teams as well as some bad teams. And, it's not like the schedule is going to get any easier. Don't get me wrong. I mean, all the teams here are still really good. But yet, I just thought this would be a fair assessment. 25%, of the way through the season. Got some good teams. Let's kind of see where they're at that.
Yeah, like how did they play against tougher competition is really what we wanted to, is what you wanted to see and see how they fared. Before we get too started, like I'd love to say this, like the Tigers have lost some games late when they were either winning those games, and to me, it probably isn't as many as I think it is, but it feels like it's 7 or 8, 10 games where I felt like they were either tied or winning, in bottom of the 8th going into the 9th, or, in that frame where they end up going to extra innings or something and losing that game, and not helping their pitching staff out, which I know you're going to bring up and talk more in depth about.
Well, that's the biggest glaring issue with this team. So again, it's not going to be surprising, to anybody, but what I have to say, I mean, I think, all right, I'm going to sum up the Tigers with a little bit of statistics here, because I think this is a microcosm of the Tigers this season. And you have to look at Reese Olson. All right. So with Reese Olson pitching, he's pitched some gyms and he's winless. He has not won a single game. All right. But listen to this, though. Reese Olson has pitched a total of 47.1 innings so far this year. 47.1. He's only given up 14 runs over the course of the 47 innings. All right. Now, the runs that the Tigers have scored for Reese Olson over that same time period of 47.1 innings is 6. So he has only given up 14, and he's only gotten help with 6 in that same time period, and he's winless, right? So that's a microcosm, right? Like, it's just showing you, like, and going back to your point a little bit, I'm going to jump around because my brain's that way. It's happening that way. You're saying that the Tigers are losing late, and yes, they are, but that is truly an indictment on this team. Like, they'll score 3 runs in like the second or third inning, and then nothing the rest of the game.
Right.
And when you're having a low scoring games, there's another statistic, and I'm going to butcher it because I didn't write it down, but I thought it was a really interesting statistic. When the Tigers score 3 runs or less in a game, they only have like 6 wins on the year and like 20 some odd losses or whatever it is, right? Like, it's really, really lopsided. But when they score 4 or more runs in a game, so just one more, the win and loss is basically reversed, right? They have like 17 wins and 6 losses or something like that. So it's and in this game today, you cannot expect your bullpen, right? Your starter goes out there and you got to think about this. If a starter gives up 3 runs or less in 6 innings, it's considered a quality start, right? 3 runs or less in 6 innings is a quality start. So if your starting pitcher does his job, you already have to score 4 runs on average to win the game. Just from his start, just from him, right? That's not including any runs that your bullpen gives up. And your bullpen, even though the Tigers' bullpen was just fire earlier on, they're still good. They regressed a little bit, but you can't expect the bullpen to go out there and be perfect every single scenario. Like, that's just not going to happen. So the fact that you have, you losing late, yeah, but look at these like the low scoring games, like against the Twins. They scored 3 runs again, right? But Twins scored 4.
Right.
Twins scored 4. Tigers scored 1. Rangers scored 1. Tigers scored 0. And it just goes on and on and on and on and on. I mean, you can go through this forever, but the point is, like, you just cannot expect the bullpen and the pitching staff as a whole, but specifically the bullpen, because your pitching staff has been giving you quality innings. Time and time again. Flaherty is one of the best pitchers in baseball right now. Scuba, we'll talk about him a lot more. Mize is looking pretty good. We just talked about Olson. Like, your starting pitching staff is amazing, and your relievers have been really good too. But yes, they've given up a couple big hits. There was that one. It was like this. It looked like it was gonna be like a little pop out, right? And when you look at the statistics on that, like a launch angle of like 40 degrees and get off the bat like 90 miles an hour or whatever it was, like every other ball hit with those same parameters, none but one other one made it to the warning track. They're all just little flyouts to the outfield. That was the only ball that made it that was a home run because the wind blowing so hard out to right field during that game. And so there's been a little bit of, luck gone against the Tigers, in those scenarios too. But still, the point is you can't expect your bullpen to be perfect, and you have to provide some run support. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's just been so disappointing, But again, we talked about it at the beginning of the year, right? One of the things that was mentioned, I was saying that this Tigers offense is only going to go as far as Green, Carpenter, and Torkelson take them. That's it.
Yep.
You have to depend on those 3 guys because the rest of the Tigers, look, I'm sorry, but like either they are unproven, like Parker Meadows and Colt Keith. I know Meadows is down now, but like, he's made the team though, but like they're unproven, or you kind of know what you're going to get with them. So those were the three Tigers you had to rely on.
Yeah.
And when you look at what they're doing with runners in scoring position, batting somewhere around like 250, and they're all really close together. I can lump all three of those guys in the same thing with runners in scoring position. They're all batting between 240, 250 with like a 500 ops. And that's just not going to cut it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's tough when you see, like, again, like how well the starting pitchers have been, right? They've been giving you about 6 innings every game, if not a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're not giving up a lot. Matt Manning gave up, a bunch of hits, or a bunch of runs in his last outing. But even he, after he's been called back up, the times that they've called him up, he has given them quality innings, right? Because we were even shocked. Well, I think I was more shocked than maybe you were, but that Matt Manning didn't make the team at the start of the season. Like, because they set Parker Meadows back down, and I think that's when they called up Meadows at the same time, or roughly right around the same time. But, it's for someone who doesn't watch a lot of baseball, like you, and I'm sitting at seeing where they're at. They're 25% in. I thought, let me say this. I thought, as you were looking at last year and looking at the teams coming into this year, I thought the AL Central was going to be a weak conference or weak division, and thinking that the Tigers had an opportunity, if they could win 90 games, right? 85 games. I thought maybe they could even squeak in and win the Central. But some of these other teams, who was the Twins, were playing. I mean, the Central was looking tougher than I was expecting. Like, you got the Twins, Kansas City, Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland's 28-17 right now. They've got they've got the third best record in the AL, right? So Kansas City's right behind there with the fourth best record in the AL, right? So, like, it is tough. The Central is tougher than I was expecting as we were looking at, coming out of last season, right? So the Tigers are going to have to put some games together, some wins together to if they want to win the Central this year. I think they're going to have to do that even if they want to get a wild card this year, based on what I'm seeing as far as, 500 ball is still better than they did last year, and it's still a step in the right direction. I know you're probably going to throw this out here, but Javi Baez is still killing the Tigers, right? And like everybody, like if you read any article, you don't even have to be from Detroit, right? Like the articles that I read is just the ownership is just handcuffing this team. And I get that they owe him money, right? And I know you keep talking about, who you're going to have to come and play. You got to have a shortstop. You got to have someone defensively who can stop up the middle. I know you've talked about that, but when you talk about the run support that our pitching staff is not getting, right?
So let me take a little step further. You're not wrong,
okay,
brother, but let me just take a little bit step further. All right?
Yeah.
Let's look at, I don't know, pick a team. Pick a team that's good, right? Just pick one.
The Dodgers.
Okay. Well, okay. All right.
We can say Cleveland because they're playing. I mean, they're playing good ball too. So let's just keep it in the AL. We'll keep it even in our division. Let's go with Cleveland.
All right. Let me bring up their page real quick. And I'll go through something here real quick.
Because the thing, I could say the Dodgers, and we all know that the Dodgers are hitting. They're just phenomenal, right? The guys who are on their team that are hitters are hitting the ball.
So, right. Yes, the guys on the team that are hitters are hitting the ball. Absolutely.
Correct.
All right. So, looking at go away. Looking at the their offensive statistics. All right.
Yep.
They have two players that are over 10 home runs, and Josh Naylor and Jose Ramirez.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They have. I know this ain't gonna be surprising. Let me. Let's change it real quick. Pick a different team real quick. Just pick a different team.
The Yankees.
Okay. The Yankees. Now.
What about Cincinnati? I could pick them too.
It doesn't matter.
Ellie Dela Cruz.
Let's do Reds. Let's do Reds.
Okay.
All right. You got Ellie De La Cruz, who you just mentioned, and he's got 9 home runs, 22 RBIs. He's batting .270. He's got 30 stolen bases. He's got 8 doubles, 1 triple. The guy's killing it. 873 ops, 270 average. Again, that's acceptable. I'll take 270 average. A 379 base percentage, 503 slugging. The guy is killing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Stevenson, their catcher. Okay, the guy's got 5 home runs, a 274 average, a 350 on base percentage with a 481 slugging for a good 831 ops. So he is number 2 on that team as far as ops is concerned, right underneath Ellie De La Cruz.
Yep.
Okay. Now you do, and then if you really want to look at it, you can look at Will Benson.
Mm-hmm.
Will Benson has 6 home runs, 10 doubles, so he's second on the team in doubles. And otherwise, his average isn't all that great at 192. He's still got a 682 ops because he has 6 home runs and 10 doubles. So his slugging, was on base, gets to be 682. That's acceptable. I'm not saying by any means he's playing phenomenally, but it's acceptable for right now, right? What I just did is I highlighted 3 of the most important positions in the game of baseball: catcher, center field, shortstop.
Yep.
Right? Now, not only do they provide decent defense, Stevenson is okay behind the plate. He's not going to be like some defensive guru back there, but he's okay behind the plate. He's like his offense allows him to be behind the plate. So you got him, Benson, and De La Cruz. You go to another team. So I know you mentioned the Yankees. You got Judge playing center field. Yep. I mean, I don't need to say anything about Judge. We know what he is. You got Anthony Volpe playing shortstop, 6 home runs.
Yeah, he's playing
270
really good.
average, a 70 ops. And catcher, Austin Wells, he's still a young guy, right? So he's got some ways to go, but he's got 1 home run on the year. He's got a 611 ops. Again, over 600. We'll take it. We'll call that acceptable. Not by any means is it going to be great, but for a catcher, we'll say it's acceptable. 611 ops. So just keep that in mind. That 611, right?
Yep.
Over 600. Okay. Because you mentioned them as well, Dodgers. All right. Shortstop, Mookie Betts, batting 341, over 1,000 ops. We're not going to go into details on that one. Will Smith, again, same thing, 861 ops as a catcher. Center field, Outman. He played a lot better last year, struggling a little bit this year. He started to get a little bit more on fire recently, but he's got 3 home runs, 4 doubles, and a 5.16 op. So he's kind of suffering there in that department as far as that goes. But the rest of the lineup's just awesome, kind of make up for it anyways. You go to Braves because they're another good team, right? Catcher. Right now, Travis d'Arnaud is playing. But Sean Murphy, I think, was going to be a starter, but he ended up getting injured or something. But right now, he's got an 836 ops. Orlando Arcia, their shortstop, got a 668 ops. Center fielder, Michael Harris, 681 ops.
Baltimore.
Oh, geez. This is going to be ridiculous.
Well, that's why I brought it up, because I know you like their catcher, right?
I do.
Yeah.
He's my favorite catcher in all of baseball. But you have Gunnar Henderson. Gunnar Henderson's going to be in the running for MVP this year. All right. He's got 904 ops, 13 home runs, 29 RBIs, 4 doubles, 4 triples, 6 stolen bases. The guy's nuts. Adley Rutschman, one of my favorite players in all the game. He's got a 311 average with an 849 ops with 9 home runs. And then center field, Cedric Mullins, 585 ops. And but he's got 6 home runs, so he's providing a little bit of power with that 585 ops, and most of that's just because of his he's only batting 186.
Right.
But again, this team is so good; they kind of cover up for that center fielder. So now you have Anthony Santander, Colton Cowser. That's kind of like this team has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players over 800 ops. If you include 700, that's 3 more players over 700. Like, they're just absolutely killing the ball. They're raking right now. One of the players only has 9 games, Ryan McKenna, there in right field, but he's got a 1,500 ops. So I didn't even count him because it's not enough. But So you see what I'm saying, though, right? Like, no matter what team you look at, if they're good, if they're winning.
Yeah.
Let's even look at who the Tigers are playing. The D-backs right now.
Yeah.
They got Blaze Alexander as a shortstop, 751 ops. Center fielder Corbin Carroll. Now he struggled early, and he's starting to pick it up. But he has been struggling. He's at 543. Their other shortstop. That's got 31 games when Blaze Alexander has 32. So they're kind of splitting time. He's got 703 ops, so he's still in the 700s. And catcher Gabriel Moreno has got a 675 ops. So there we go. Right?
Yep.
I don't need to make my point anymore. Let's go to Tigers now. Right?
Yeah.
Who do the Tigers have? Jake Rogers, a 544 ops. Carson Kelly, a 580. Not in the 600s.
Right.
Javi Baez, a 466 ops. He's literally been the worst hitter in all of baseball. A 466 ops. And then center field, take your pick. It was Parker Meadows at the beginning of the year. He's got a 443 ops.
Yeah.
Wincio Perez has now, kind of taken it over, and he's done a little bit better. 885. But I don't think Perez is going to maintain that. I just don't see it happening. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see it happening. But nonetheless, that's where he's at. So the positions that most of the fans, and myself specifically too, have been just clamoring for. I've been hoping for a good shortstop for a long time. I've been wanting a catcher for a long time. I've been trying to talk about certain trade scenarios to give the Tigers a catcher, get rid of some of these pieces. Like, I would love for them to flip Flaherty at the trade deadline because, quite frankly, I think the Tigers are going to be out of it. I don't think they have a chance to really go anywhere, even if they do make the playoffs. Sure. I want them to flip Flaherty. You could still have Manning come up and take his place, and try to get a catching prospect. We need something.
And who was it that had like 2 top prospects? Was it the Dodgers?
The Dodgers. They got 2 top prospects at catchers, and they already got their starting catcher, and Will Smith, and they just signed him for like an 8-year deal. that's the team you got to make a deal with.
Right. Right.
So, and then so you got to, but shortstop, you can even argue that's even a bigger hole to fill. You know, with because you got Creedler. He's injured right now, but he should be back in the next couple, maybe a month. But come on, I'm sorry, I just don't have a lot of faith in Creedler. I don't think he's going to be the long term answer at shortstop. I just don't. Yeah. So and the other players that you have on your in your farm system, you know, they might be 2 years, 3 years away. So you really need, you know, someone at short right now.
So do we have anybody in the farm system that's at shortstop? Like who'd be that guy?
Well, I don't know where they're planning on, like we're planning on actually playing him. But Kevin McGonigal, he was drafted in the same draft with the same draft as Clark. Right, that's one of the reasons why they drafted Clark. He took less money. They were able to get McGonigal at the back end of the first round as well for the but you know, he's 19 years old. He's been playing middle infield, shortstop, and second, so you have him. But he probably isn't going to be ready until around 2027, right? So again, but he's probably the best one in the farm system that has a chance.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me. Other prospects, they also drafted Carson Rucker, but again, 2027 at most. But he's probably going to be more of a corner infielder, like third base. Christian Santana, he was an international signing, but you know, he's 20 years old right now. He's at least 2 years away. And then Isaac Pacheco, they drafted him. He could probably come up here shortly and next year to, you know, 1 or 2 years away, right around there. So but again, it's not like any of those guys are just tearing it up either, right?
Gotcha.
Like, I mean, Pacheco is in high A right now, and this year so far he's batting a 195 with a 285 slugging and a 546 ops, right? Like, it's not. I don't know what to say, right? Like, Christian Santana right now is batting a 143. Peyton Graham, I didn't really mention him. He's batting a 168. Edis Leonard, I did forget about him. He's not really a shortstop in my eyes, but they did get him from the Dodgers, and this year he's batting at 219, so it doesn't really matter, right? But McGonigal, again, he is the person that has the best chance of actually being the long-term answer at short, especially if his defense plays. But right now he's in low A and he's batting a 323 with an 863 ops. So, you know, it's there.
Right. Because
that's what we're looking at.
I know we're mid-May. The draft is in basically 2 months.
Yes.
Right? And I think the Tigers are picking 9.
That is correct.
So I was just looking at who they thought the Tigers would get. Looks like they're 9 and 11. No, not 9, 11. They're pick 11. Sorry,
I thought it was 9.
Oh, this has the Pirates at 9.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm wrong.
Yeah, no. Like I said, I'm just trying to figure out. You know, as we're looking at these prospects, right, coming out. And there is that's one, and he's a shortstop. They got that 6. They got a Connor Griffin. He's a shortstop outfielder.
But the only problem though is he is a high schooler, right? Yeah. So right now, like, you're gonna want someone to come in and play short right away. And that's not going to be Connor Griffin. He's going to need, of course, like any prep prospect, he's going to need time.
Yeah, at 9, they got coming out of college, West Virginia.
JJ Weatherholt.
Yep.
Yeah. So people, like a lot of the stuff I've read on him, I haven't got a chance to do too much film on him,
Yep.
But so he switched over to shortstop for the first time this year, and he was trying to improve his draft stock by playing a premium position like short.
Yep.
But he hasn't been able to stick there so far because of some injuries. So he hasn't really, been able to show that off at all. So no one really knows if he's going to be able to stick
Right.
at short. But he's kind of bet on the short side at 5'10". He is a lefty bat. But as far as like contact skills, ball to bat skills, he's probably one of the best in this entire class with ball to bat skills. And I think he ended up playing. He was like the conference Big 12 conference player of the year. He hit over 400. I think it was close to 450.
Yeah, because
So
right
like
now
all
it
the bat
says
skills is phenomenal.
Yeah, right now he's got this. They got 384, 525, 686.
Okay. Yeah, and he's also a pretty good. He's a legit threat to steal when he gets on base too.
Yeah.
So, so Weatherholt is kind of the guy that I would be looking for this year, because if you're every other prospect when it comes to shortstop is right now is a prep prospect until you drop down into the later bit of the first round.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what before I even brought it up, because I know we went over that last year when we did the draft, but I mean, he's right at 9, right? So just like last year, teams will look at other players if they're willing to take so they can try and sign somebody later.
Yes.
Kind of like with the Max Clark thing that the Tigers did. So it's possible some of these guys, these top 9 that they're talking about, because there's 2 consensus guys that are going to go 1-2, what they're talking. And then the next 7 could go anywhere, right? So, I mean, is it possible, he could fall from 9 to 11? I guess anything. And when it comes to the draft, anything can happen, right?
Yes. I mean, there's a chance they could also take a catcher here too. I mean, look, I've been saying this for a while too. Dylan Dingler needs a chance at the major league level. I mean, Carson Kelly's just not him. Jake Riders is not him. You might as well give Dylan Dingler a chance.
Sure.
But because what I would want to know if I was a GM right now is what I have in Dylan Dingler, because if I'm looking at the right now the draft, there is a couple of nice players at the top here that you could actually take a look at, depending on who falls and who doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those guys is going to be a catching prospect in Caleb Lomavita. Lomavita, he's kind of profiles out to be kind of like a slightly above average in most categories. His hit tool, power, probably the only thing that's under average, I'd say, would be his ability to run. Everything else is probably barely above average, I'd call it. So when you he's not like some he's not like the Adley Rutschman prospect, right? He's not that, because Adley Rutschman was drafted first overall. He's not going to be that. But as far as being the first catcher taken, he probably will be.
Okay.
So I would want to see what I have in Dylan Dingler, because I want to see if, again, hypothetically, if excuse me, if Weatherholt is your target and he's off the board, do you go with Lomavita or not?
Yeah. Well, you're talking. So Max Clark, we drafted him last year. He's plays center field, right, or outfield?
Yes.
But he was a center fielder. I know he's still in like low A. Is he in low A still, or did he make it to double A?
I think he's in high A.
High A. Okay.
I'll double check that, but I'm pretty sure he's high A. Oh no, he is low A. My fault. You're right.
Okay. So, he's still obviously a couple of years away as well, right?
At least.
Yeah, he's a 2027 guy, I would say at the earliest. I mean, and it's still only going to put him at what, 21?
He could come in 26. He
Yeah.
could.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're looking at you've got a top center field prospect, right? And trying to fill that shortstop or catcher prospect. So either one of those guys would be somebody that they could get in their system, and who may be the guy that we're looking for. But with Baez's contract, because this is not his last year, it's still got 2 more years left, I think, on his contract.
Oh, at least 2.
I think it's at least 2. So we're handicapped with that, whether we cut him or not, right?
Yeah.
I don't know that you can. I mean, I guess you could still try. Someone could trade for him, but it would be the Tigers still eating the money, right? So the Tigers would have paid, you still be paying him while he's on a contract with somebody else. But I think honestly, I think their best bet is just to cut him. But that's not going to happen. I think the earliest that's going to ever happen is going to be at the end of the season. And I don't know that they're going to do that.
Probably not, but I hope so. I want to see him cut.
They are going to continue to have this player who
is actively hurting the team.
Yes. I mean, he had a couple of games where he put the bat on the ball. Yeah. Right? But
yeah,
that's why he's not batting 0. But he's what, 198? 189, something like that. It's like, right? He's under 200.
Yeah, he's the worst hitter in baseball.
Right? Like, just before we came on the show, you were watching him, and his at bat, he swung at one at his neck, he swung at one in the dirt, and he swung one out of the, it was out of the strike zone, right?
Out of the strike zone.
So he's still obviously not seeing the ball. And and the way you've described his swing, he's just guessing. So he is swinging at where he thinks based on a release before the ball's even released. Because I am not a hitter. I get how hard it is to put the bat on the ball, right? Like, the decision-making ability that you have to have in baseball at the plate has to be top-notch, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not that easy, right? And hitters that seem to, make it look easy, that's because they put in a lot of work. Right? It's a lot of work. So I'm not trying to downplay, how hard it is. He hurts us. Like, when you got runners in scoring position and you're down 1, you're down 2, and you've got a guy on first and third, and Baez comes up, like that, you're taking the out.
Yeah.
And you just, and everybody know, like, pitchers know they can pitch him anywhere, and he's gonna swing, right?
That's why Baez, he needs to be again. I don't know who you're going to replace him with. There's only right now, because of the injury to Creedler, you might have one other person that's capable of playing shortstop full time on the roster right now.
Right.
So it sucks, because it's like the team is so devoid of talent in such an important position.
Yes.
Like you have to do more. You have to do better. And there's no way that now I can't really blame this specific regime for the choices that were made, because every player that they draft, if you take the best player available, it's not like football, right, where the players have to go to college before they get drafted, and so they can contribute the year after they're drafted, right? Like they'll get some contribution from them.
Yeah, you can get something out of the rookie season where they're coming straight in.
Yeah. And in baseball, that's just not happening. So you typically, especially if you draft best player available and you're drafting high schoolers, it's going to be 3 to 4 years at the earliest before you can actually get any production from them on a major league team, right? So, like, you can't really blame this regime for the lack of talent at the important positions. Catcher, shortstop specifically. There were some outfielders like Riley Green could play center. He has, but he's a much better corner outfielder. Parker Meadows is a center fielder, legit center fielder, but right now he's struggling, hitting major league pitching.
Right.
So but after him again, you don't have anybody. Like your team is full of other prospects on other positions, first base, right, third base, second base, even. Yeah. But not the premium positions. You're devoid of talent in the minor league system. So why? Just can't do it. And what I was doing, because I was looking it up and I wanted to let you know. So more than likely, the Dodgers will probably keep Dalton Rushing as one of their catching prospects. They will probably keep him over their second prospect, Diego Cartaya. All right, so. But Diego Cartaya right now is in Double-A, and he's not having the best of seasons. He's batting 179, but he still has a 696 ops. So he's almost at the 700 ops. And the reason for that is he's got 4 home runs and 2 doubles. So I would like to see better production out of him. This is the second year now where he's batted below 200. So I definitely want to see better production out of Diego Cartaya. But nonetheless, at least he would give some additional talent that's, lacking.
Yeah.
Anyways, because I don't think you can really get anybody else that's any better. Like, I know Seattle Mariners has their catcher too, but you're not going to be able to get Harry Ford from them, right? Like, Milwaukee Brewers has their catcher, but you're not going to get Jefferson Quero. Not going to happen. Yeah. So, and you're definitely not going to get Ethan Salas from San Diego. But so you get what I'm saying, right? Like, I think the best catcher that's available in the minor leagues would be Diego Cartaya.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just really upset by the whole thing because it's just like, how does that happen?
Well, poor management, which is why most those guys aren't there anymore, right?
No, you're right. It is. Yeah.
I mean, that's just you didn't have people in place that had the ability to select talent across the board, right? And what was it? They selected all pitchers one year. Didn't you say that once?
Yeah.
Was it all pitchers?
Yeah. Well, the Angels did.
The Angels did. Okay.
Yeah.
So it just that you can't do that. That's a whole year now that you don't have no other prospects except for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how are you not planning for the future? That's what the draft is, right? It is that plan for the future.
Yeah, it was very, very short-sighted, right?
Well, yeah. So I related to football and what the Green Bay Packers did, right? When it came to quarterback. They had a guy, and then he was playing at a high level, and then they still drafted a guy in the first round, right? Turn around, he had a great career. Played at a high level, still playing at a high level. They drafted a guy in the first round. He came in, had his opportunity, and he played at a pretty high level for his first year. They put something in place that was working, right? It might be unorthodox, kind of like what the Falcons did. Signed Kirk Cousins to a big contract, and then went out and drafted, was it Michael Penix?
Yeah.
But you have to plan for the future. Kirk Cousins is not a young man, and he's coming off an Achilles injury. Right?
You know, you got Seattle that has 2 shortstops in the top 10 for prospects, right? And
yep.
But remember that I don't know if we talk on air, if we're talking this off air. Remember I was telling you about I was talking about shortstop prospects as a whole, and I gave you a name and a team of this one player. I told you that I'd basically give up so much for this guy, like almost where like I wouldn't protect anybody. Like I think this guy is going to be that good. Remember who I was talking about there?
I don't remember the name.
Okay, it was Carson Williams from Tampa Bay.
Okay.
So he's in Double-A right now. He's 20 years old. So his stats so far this year offensively, he's batting .341 with a .424 on base percentage, a .587 slug, 1,011 ops, with 32 runs scored, 43 hits, 12 doubles, 2 triples, 5 home runs, 18 RBIs. He's got 16 walks on the year, 35 strikeouts, and 10 stolen bases.
It's not bad.
No, not bad.
I mean, it's more than double everything our shortstop currently has. And I know it's Double-A, but it's, it's not high school baseball when he's hitting that.
Yeah. I just had to highlight that because that guy, he's going to be really, really good.
Yep.
He's going to be really, really good. But at any rate, look, okay, more Tiger specific. Sorry, I'm getting way off track here. But if you look through their stats, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to get I can't geek out totally over stats, but just trust me on this one. When you look at their players that are currently on the team, like their starters, like the people that's actually on their active roster, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at what they are doing offensively, batting average, their ops, right, the extra base hits, all that kind of stuff. Every single person that's on their active roster, that's kind of who they are, right? Like you can't really expect too much more from the players on their roster. Spencer Torkelson is an exception. I think you can expect more out of him. Colt Keith, batting below 200. Yes, you'd expect more out of Colt Keith, right? But those are supposed to be the stars, right? Riley Green, Kerry Carpenter, Spencer Torkelson, and with Colt Keith, that big contract coming, you kind of expected, a little more out of him.
Right.
But when you look at the rest of the roster, okay, that's what I'm kind of referring to.
Yes.
Mark Canha, Urshela, Baez, Kelly, Rogers. That's kind of who we thought they were, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess what I'm saying is we're suffering from a lack of hitting, but where are we going to get that hitting from?
Right.
And if you think about it, some of the games we won was due to some of these players that got brought up from AAA.
Mm-hmm.
Like a Perez.
Right? Yeah. I was going to say that's the first one I was going to mention.
Because some of these guys, they come through, and they had some timely hits, home runs, whatever it was, and that allowed them to win some of these. I hate these stuff. That allows right at the end in a games, whatever, to win some of the games, right?
Yeah.
So for example, who was I'm trying to think of the guy's name? Vladi.
Yeah.
Right. He came up, hit a home, boom, won a game. Right. It's that's what I'm talking about. Now, what we're seeing is, and the reason why Tigers won as many as they did is because those players came up, they provided a spark, they win. Then over time, again, they start going back to where they should be, like water finds its level, so to speak, right?
Yep.
And now we're seeing what they truly are. And that's, again, why I don't think Perez is going to continue doing what he was doing. I think he's going to, come back to earth a little bit. But anyway.
Well, and the Parker Meadows thing is a little disappointing, obviously, right?
For sure.
They called him up late last year. He was, had some games, kind of like you're talking about, right? So had some timely hits. They would, provided that spark, made the team coming out of spring training, and then just couldn't get the bat on the ball, right? And you talked to me about, I know we just offline, but, he's not going to get the practice he needs hitting Major League Baseball in AAA.
No.
Right? Now,
no.
It can be a confidence booster, right? Because you can get down there, you start putting, you start seeing the ball a little better, but you can't adjust to Major League pitching unless you're up in the majors, right?
Correct. Yep.
Because it was another guy, was it Torkelson that they talked? Did I see an article where that, like, do they send him down because he was struggling? I can't imagine they'd send him down, but
no, you can't send Torkelson down. I don't think you can.
So, because I think that was actually the player we were talking about sending them down, but it's still the same thing with Parker Meadows, right? He's struggling. Colt Keith was struggling early too, right?
Well, let's okay. I know we're Tigers, centric, but let's go outside that.
Okay.
There's a lot of these high touted rookies like Jackson Holliday that's struggling at the major league level to hit. It's not specifically a Tigers problem, it's just that the difference between AAA pitching and Major League Baseball pitching has never been greater, and as far as I'm aware from all the years that I've seen,
right.
I've never seen a greater difference between AAA pitching and Major League Baseball pitching. The leap is ginormous.
Yeah.
So, at one point in time, you kind of got a player got their seasoning in AA. And that's kind of where they did most of their progress, most of their growth as a player. And then they came to AAA, and AAA would kind of start preparing them for like the Major League Baseball, as far as like, facing that top level pitching and everything else, right?
Yep.
So then when they made the jump to Major League Baseball, it was still a big leap, right? But it wasn't as big as it is now, and that kind of helped them.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're seeing right now. So it's a much bigger leap, and so you're seeing a lot of these prospects having, Wyatt Langford. There's another one, right? Like everybody myself included, expect Wyatt Langford to come in and just absolutely dominate right from the beginning.
Yeah.
I think I picked him to be my rookie of the year, right?
Yep. Even Dylan Cruz. I know he's not up in the majors yet, but he is not. Like, you haven't heard his name out there, or at least I haven't.
No. And right now, Wyatt Langford is batting .224, and he only has one home run.
Yeah.
His ops is at .588. It's below 600. And so he's going to be good, but it's good. Some players just take time because it's such a big jump. So I don't want to sit there and say Parker Meadows is going to be, terrible. I don't want to say Spencer Torkelson.
Oh.
And all that kind of stuff, right? Like it's just tough,
right?
And anyways, but I told you before that I got the stat for you, and I want to let you know what the stat is because I find this awesome. At the beginning of the year, my American League Cy Young pick was Tarik Skubal.
Yep.
Right. I liked what I saw at the end of last year. I liked what I saw in spring, and I didn't know with a lot of the other pitchers in the American League, kind of being injured, DeGrom, etc. Right? Like I thought, Skubal has a chance to really win this because Skubal's going to be a good pitcher. And you also asked me, Because I said what I want to see from Skubal is for him to develop into a legitimate ace. And you asked me, what do I consider an ace?
Yep.
And my reply was someone that can go toe to toe with another team's best pitcher and keep you in the game.
Yep.
So, Skubal's been that. He's been phenomenal. And so going back to September of last year, okay, and to all the way to yesterday, because he pitched yesterday. He's 10-0 with a 1.48 ERA, 109 strikeouts, 12 walks, 4 home runs. Okay, that is a 14-game stretch when he has those stats.
Yep.
Some of the best pitchers in baseball. We're gonna go all the way back to 1913. Okay, think of some of the best pitchers in baseball. Bob Gibson, he's one of my favorites. Yep. He never did that. Nolan Ryan never did that.
Yeah.
Right.
Greg Maddux
never did that. Smoltz never did that.
Yeah. Tommy Glavine
never did that.
Right. We could name a lot of Atlanta pitchers because they had a freaking bullpen. Right. But anyway.
Yeah. So Randy Johnson never did it.
Yeah.
Fernando Valenzuela never did it. I'm blanking on that Boston Red Sox pitcher, and I'm going to get roasted for it.
Roger Clemens.
Well, that's not who I was thinking of, but yes, he never did it either.
Okay.
But he was one of the best starting pitchers I've ever seen too. Excuse me. But I'll think of it in a second. Doesn't matter right now, though. The point is, only 3 players in the history of Major League Baseball going back to 1913 have done what Skubal has done in those 14 games. And it's him, Tarik Skubal, Jacob deGrom, and Clayton Kershaw. That's it. End of list.
Kershaw's getting up there in age. Is he even pitching? Is he in the rotation? Or is he still injured?
I think he's still injured right now.
Yep, but DeGrom is still coming back, right?
Yeah, he should be back after the All-Star break.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. But, yeah, ain't that pretty cool, though? Honestly, that's how good Skubal has been.
That is really good, right?
So,
and I do like, I want to give a little, and you mentioned him earlier, but Olson?
Yeah.
The guy's giving you everything he's got. Right?
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot more you could ask from your starting pitcher, and then still not getting.
He's got a 2.09 ERA. He's got a whip below 1. In 8 games, 47 innings, 2.09 ERA.
Yeah,
and he's 0-4.
Yeah. It's, yeah. And I know that's how we started. I think that's probably a good way to finish it starts out, you start out with an Olson. I'm going to end with Olson. I feel bad for the kid. And I think, his time is going to come.
It will.
Right? And we have some, like you said, we have a pretty good rotation. Mize is looking good. Flaherty, right?
Yeah.
Pitching well. Manny's come up and had some good games. That we have 5 good starters, 6 good starters that can come up and rotate through. It's, we're doing okay on that end. But you've said this, I don't know, many, many times. The Tigers have been able to do something that a lot of teams don't, and that's been able to develop pitching.
Yep.
So, and they seem to continue to be doing that this year. So, if they could get some guys in there that know how to hit the ball, I don't know. Maybe they can get Tony Gwynn to come in as a hitting coach.
That'd be kind of tough, dude. He died 12 years ago.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, he still hit better than Baez.
Yes. That is really true. So just a quick little update here as we're watching it. Tigers are down 0-2, nothing to 2. So yeah. And right now, the only Tigers with a hit, Green, Perez, Urshela has 2, and Baez actually has a hit.
Wow.
That's it. I'm honestly, dude, I'm disgusted by the offense. And it's just something's got to change.
Oh yeah.
So
Something has to change. I mean, if you're gonna win games, you got to figure it out, right?
yeah, you do. But anyways, last thing I want to say about the whole thing though is, right, Torkelson I think is going to be okay. He just needs confidence. I think is the bottom line. He just needs confidence. Riley Green was killing it for a little while. I think he's going to come back to it. He's more of a streaky hitter. But Riley Green's, he'll be all right. I like Riley Green. But Baez has got to go. Kenta Maeda, I was expecting a little bit more out of Maeda than what's been happening, but he's got to go. Like at this point, I just want to clean house, right? Like you're keeping players that are better in the minors, and they need time to shine, like Manning, for example. Let's just clean house, get rid of Baez. Let's just give these guys a chance. I don't know. That's just where I'm at right now.
No, I agree with you. So, I mean, if we don't, you can't get better, right? You can't until you start getting the right players in here. And I know that's what the new regime's trying to do. They're trying to get people who get on base. It doesn't matter how do you get on base, but they need you on base.
Baez just got another hit. It's amazing. And Tigers just got their first run of the game.
All right.
And it's a double. That's 2 hits for him this game. Like, could we I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to say it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Believe me when I say I would love to see Baez turn things around, right? I'd love for that to happen.
You don't have to like him to want him to do well because he's on our team.
The only reason I don't like him is because he's eating such a huge chunk of money and he's terrible.
Yeah.
I got nothing personal against the guy. I just want him to be
what we paid for
in the Tigers lineup.
Yeah.
That's it. But anyway, you got any last words there, bro?
I do not. I'm still gonna say. I'm trying to think of my prediction. I think I picked 95 games. I'm sticking with 95 games.
I think I said 84 or 85, something like that. But
yeah, I'm sticking with it. I might go down to 90 games. That's as low as I'm gonna go.
Okay.
I'm 90 games.
I mean, look, last year you were a lot more optimistic than me too, and I ended up, and you ended up being right.
I was a little closer. Yep.
Yeah.
Someone who's not as close to the game as my brother, right? And I went with a gut feeling. And that's what I'm going with now. I think in reality, that's all. I think that's really all I want is I want to see improvements, even if it's just a little bit, right? Like it would be great if they were the wild card this year and went out and won the division next year, right? Like I think they can, but they got to put some things together. The hitters got to start hitting the ball. You got to support your pitching. And the pitching just needs to keep doing what they're doing.
Baez just scored. They just tied up the game. But all right. No, you're right though. Pitching's going to be fine. I'm not worried about the pitching.
Yep.
It's just yeah.
Hitters got to hit.
Yeah, hitters got to hit.
So,
which again, we're not saying anything that nobody who watches the Tigers don't already know. It's just been terrible,
or just baseball in general. It doesn't have, like you said, it doesn't have to be Tiger centric, but that's what we're talking about. But that's good pitching, good, and you have hitters who can get up, hit the ball. That's the name of the game.
I know we got since we've gone for so long, there's a lot more we got to talk about. Stuff going on with the Lions and other things. Other sports just in general. There's some stuff going on even with the WNBA that we really should mention. So we're gonna try to get everything caught up. Just stick with us. Subscribe. We'd appreciate it. We're closing in on 100. We're getting close. We're closing in on 100. So.
Triple digits, baby. Let's go. Hit the button.
Give us a little subscribe.
Hit the button and share it with your family. Hit the button.
But appreciate you listening. Let us know what you think. Where did we mess up? What opinion do you have? Like to hear it.
And don't crush me because I didn't realize Tony Gwynn was dead. I'm just thinking about good hitters, and I need somebody to come in.
You know what? Maybe we can get Babe Ruth.
Maybe
Ted Williams.
Sure. Sure.
Anyway,
we have just as much a chance to get him as we do Shohei Ohtani. So, maybe the Dodgers will be stupid one day and they'll take Baez and we can get Ohtani.
If Matt Millen ever became a baseball GM for the Dodgers, that could happen.
That would. Cool.
But all right, appreciate it, everybody. See you next time. Talk to you next time.
Yeah. All right, take care, guys.
Thanks for listening to No Pads Sports Talk. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, help spread the word by leaving a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on social media at No Pads Sports Talk.